All right, so today we're going to do a quick walkthrough of the iPad template MOGRT. Here's how you do it. If you've never used a MOGRT, you're going to load it using the graphics templates panel. This button right here, install motion graphics template, click that, navigate to wherever on your computer is the MOGRT, click it, and it should load up here. I have already done that, so I will just drag and drop the MOGRT into a sequence here, and this is what we get. It doesn't look like a whole lot, but this is what we get. Then in the properties panel, if you don't see that, you can go window properties. That will load up the properties panel, and that is where you will actually access all the various settings of the MOGRT. Once you click on it in your timeline, it will appear here. The way many MOGRTs work, and this one as well, is there's a section for a placeholder graphic. It's just basically an empty bucket that you will drop your media into. With this MOGRT, that might mean you're dropping in a screen recording of your website or your product or whatever visual you've prepared that you want to appear as if it is coming from the iPad or tablet screen. I just did a screen recording and I will drop that in for demonstration. It's just a Google search and you can see it appears in this sort of iPad graphic. So it's me searching for iPad templates, finding it on Google. It is a top search result. That is a win, considering I've barely launched this MOGRT as is. I don't even have a banner graphic yet on Gumroad, but anyway, so we've dropped our media in. We can fine tune that later, but for now that's good enough. So now let's go through some of these settings. I actually want to start at the bottom with background just to complete the look here. So this black that you're seeing is actually transparent. So if you were to drop this over top of, say, custom graphics you made, it would appear transparent. But I have also built in, just for convenience, a simple background generator, and you can load that in the background section. Just click this checkbox on and there you go. The default color is kind of a Video Wizard branded color, but you can switch that to whatever you like. Then there's a spotlight mask, a band of light, just for a little visual interest. Lighting style, the light theme is this white beam of light. Dark theme would be the reverse. It's more of a vignette on the outside. It's a little more of a dramatic look, so that might be what you want. And then you can scale up and down. And the cool thing is that this beam of light does move. You know, just a simple thing. If you don't want the movement, you can maybe just cut it off, and there you go. It's more static. But I added the movement just because it does add a little bit of visual interest, and it does actually work well with another setting, this animation setting, which we will get to in a second. So let's continue. iPad inner color black. You can also switch that to white. Yeah, that's just as if your iPad were white. You know, I'm not even sure Apple is doing this anymore. I feel like they're all black, all the ones I've seen. So I have black by default. It's probably what you're going to want to leave it as, but in this case, with a white Google, screen capture, it also looks better on black. But if you have a dark theme on your site, like this one here, you might prefer it as a white themed iPad, but that's up to you. iPad outer color. Now this is a bit esoteric. I have it on space black by default, but as you can see, just flipping through these does change that outside border, because a little bit of that color from the rear side does creep through on the front, just on that far edge. So that's just a little extra detail if you want to add it, but you probably won't. Space black, good enough. iPad size, this is a cool one. 974 by 702 is the default. Now that is the default aspect ratio of the iPad Pro, but you can change it to whatever you want. Say if if the exact dimensions of the iPad aren't precise to the dimensions of your screen capture, you can just, instead of bending your screen capture to conform the right space, you can change the iPad. I mean, you could, I guess, even make it look like a phone, but that's not really the intention here. It's more just to be able to change the shape of the iPad. In the future, I may actually do a version where you can swap out tablet, phone, laptop, just to have all three in one, because that does tend to be useful for these sorts of explainer screen capture kind of product demo videos. But for now, it's meant for tablet and iPad. All right, so continuing on animation. So I'll show you what that does. In one click, you can click full screen animation. Now I'm gonna scrub back to the beginning of our clip here. And as you can see, we are now full screen, and that was not the case before. Check this off. We're back to how we looked. Click this on, we're on full screen. And I'm just gonna play it. And it's just one of those. It's like going from full screen to this smaller size. You can reverse it. So you start here, and then it would expand into full screen. The effect pairs well with a whoosh sound. If you want to add a whoosh, you can add your favorite whoosh. And then the other cool effect, I'm gonna leave the reverse off for now. The other cool effect is you can control the animation speed and intensity. with simple sliders. There's no keyframing, of course. On the back end in After Effects, I have basically programmatically animating here based on the values from these sliders. So this is animation slider 1 through 10 seconds. I have it at 2. I kind of like 2, but just for example, just pop it up to 7. You can see how much slower it goes. Now animation intensity, that is basically how E is it, if you will. I'm gonna drop the animation duration to 2, intensity to 8, just so you can see. Yeah, I don't like that red frame. The red frame is a glitch. If you've ever used my Ken Burns effect, it's like those random black frames that can show up sometimes. It's red in this because I've deliberately added a red solid in the background of the placeholder media. So you can see when your foreground media isn't filling the frame, or in this case has dropped altogether. This is an Adobe issue. It's kind of random when it happens. It's difficult to reproduce. Fortunately, there are 3 quick and easy fixes you can try. The first one is to simply render the clip. That often works. Second would be to go into your sequence settings and uncheck composite in linear color. This checkbox at the bottom, which is on by default, try unchecking that. That might fix the issue. The third option, the nuclear option, is to replace the instance of the MOGRT in your timeline that has this issue with a fresh one, re-input your settings, and start from scratch, essentially. Between these 3 options, you're very likely to fix the issue and be able to move on. All right, speaking of moving on, animation. I'm gonna up the intensity to 8 just to show you. So we've got a 2-second duration animation with an intensity of 8. So you can see it really quickly warps in, but smooth on that final movement. And 1 would be completely linear. So there's no easy ease at all, as you can see. 10 would be extreme easy ease. I kind of like 2.8. So for this sake, we'll do 2.8. Maybe we'll pair it with a whoosh later. iPad end position. So as you can see, it scales the iPad down to this size by default, but you can make it much smaller if you like. Say if you wanted the iPad up here, if you had like some information on the left maybe, and you want the iPad to end in this position here, you can certainly do that. We'll scale it down to say maybe 75%, and then we can move up here, and now it looks like that. There is that red frame again, so we will give it a quick render, and fixed. Okay, so yeah, you can change the end position, but I'm gonna go ahead and bring it back to the default 960 and 540, and we will continue on with the demonstration. So drop shadow, that is pretty self-evident, but it's a 1-click, just toggle on and off. You can control the distance, the color here, of course. I don't know why you'd want to change the color really, but you can if you like. And softness is another one. I'm gonna crank the softness a little bit. Yeah, but whatever you like, you can just dial that in, get a little bit more separation with the iPad in the background. And then we've already done the background. So there is our animation, and it is pretty cool. Those red frames are unacceptable actually, so we will just render to see if we can get rid of them that way. And the render takes care of that. This is generally the effect. That might be all you need information-wise to get going with this, but I want to show you one other thing. So as you can see from the raw screen recording, the main part of the Google search looks good. It's pretty dead center because Google is just center-oriented, but the actual search results are a little far on the left to me. So what we can do is actually go under the hood, and instead of just dropping in our raw screen record into the MOGRT, we can go in and take our raw, put it into a new timeline, and then start editing this however we want. In this case, you know, we do the search. Let me go to that actual cut point. So here we've cut from the actual search section into the like results section. I want this to be a little more centered. So I'm just gonna move this section over, and I'm gonna add a white background here. This isn't really hard what I'm doing. It's more just to show you that it can be done. So I'll add this white background here, and is that the same color? It's not quite the same color, so I'm gonna actually eyedrop the exact same color. That's interesting. They use very slightly off-white. That might just be a quirk of my computer. Yeah, it seems to be very slightly off-white. Huh, the more you know. That's good enough, whatever. So the point is though, just to get the results a little more centered to the eye. So now that we've got that, and then let's see, we get into the Gumroad results, and Gumroad I think is back to being centered. So I'm gonna, as soon as we get to Gumroad, I'm going to, that's our first Gumroad frame, we'll get rid of this, and I'm gonna just reset that back to the default. So now we have this screen recording, that's our raw, and this is our sequence. So I just want to show you that you can basically, in our placeholder section here, we can take the sequence and drop the sequence in. And now the MOGRT is pulling from this sequence and not this raw. What's cool about that is if, say, later on we want to go in and make more changes to what's in our iPad, we can affect this sequence here and it will automatically update and it'll automatically change in our screen recording. So let's say, for example, I just want to cut this whole first part. So let's say I want to start with the results. So we just cut all of that. Let's see what we get now. So as you can see, it automatically updated. The beginning part of our animation is now just the scroll. So the cool thing with this is a basically live updating, full edit access to what's appearing inside the iPad. So that's pretty much it. The rest of this, I think you can figure out through just your own playing around with it, getting used to it. If you do see that, the dreaded red frame, my advice is to give it a quick render. So let's see, I'm still seeing that red frame. Workaround number 2, we'll go into sequence settings, composite and linear color, turn that off, and crazy, it's gone. Look, the red frame thing, I don't know, I wish it weren't so random to reproduce, random to fix, but that's where we're at. Figured I would leave these glitches in, one, for this just sake of transparency, but also because you actually might experience this in your own use of the MOGRT, and just that as weird and annoying as the issue is, there are actually really easy workarounds that between one of the 3 are almost certainly going to fix your problem. All right, that's it for this tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment. You can check out this template and many others at videowizard.io. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.